I am feeling digitally connected, man.
Like we need to have an understanding of what can happen, what can't happen, because you have to start with some of your strongest material.
Right. You are going to be one of the people that are going to get left behind. It's that simple. You can do it.
All right. Welcome to the Textual Podcast, Season 8, Episode 10. Oh, yeah.
Time is flying when you have fun.
Time is flying when you are having fun. I'm Josh.
I'm Mr. Harris. I'm sorry, guys. I had to get my sexy specs.
Oh, get your sexiness on. All right.
Yeah. You already know. Did I ever tell you that I've been wearing glasses since the second grade?
No kidding.
The second grade. I remember the first pair I had.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I know a lot of times when I'm out in public and you guys won't see me with glasses on because I only use them when I'm like sitting in front of the computer.
Do you wear contacts when you're not?
No, I've never had contacts in my life.
So they're more so reading glasses.
No, they're seeing glasses.
Whoa.
They're seeing glasses, not reading, because I need them now to see.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm working with the screens.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, for the most part, I think I see good. But one of the things I learned a long time ago is that I compensate by squinting.
Okay.
So I squint. I've noticed that about myself over the years, and it seems like it's gotten worse. But second grade, I'm nearsighted and farsighted.
All right.
So go figure. And the older you get, it's not like, your eyesight gets any better. And so now I'm at the phase where I wear progressives.
Okay.
Do you know what those are?
No idea.
These young folks, I tell you,
don't know certain things.
You don't wear glasses.
No, I don't.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Jamie didn't wear them either until life happened. So now she wears glasses.
Yeah.
And so, but progressives are a step beyond bifocals. So bifocals are when you have the little lens down here and you see people reading through them, right? And progressives, you have the lens you have the prescription in the entire lens. So literally everything is magnified. It's not like Red Fox in Harlem Nights. You remember he had the big Coke bottles, right? So, but definitively,
I don't need no darn glasses.
That part. But yeah, I definitely need them to see these screens.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
As long as they work, that's all that matters.
Yeah, I guess.
All right. All good. Hey, what else is going on here at DSDT? Let's kick off the conversation in that direction.
I don't know. It's cold.
It is cold.
We both look like it's cold today.
Fall is in full effect.
In Detroit.
Yes.
In Detroit.
I mean, it's only mid-October.
I wonder what is it down near the Austin campus?
Oh, Texas?
Yeah.
Man, I would guess 80s.
Because when we were there in June, July, it was 105 for 45 days.
In the summer, it's 100 plus, easily.
Yeah. So now it is...
I'm guessing 80s.
You think
October?
It's 80s? Yeah, well...
80s.
Yeah. Friday
Yeah.
is supposed to be 95.
Oh my.
95.
Yeah.
And here on Friday, it's supposed to be 60.
I'm okay with that though. I'm okay with it.
I don't know, Josh.
Rolling into the weekend, as long as we don't have a lot of rain as we did this past weekend, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Michigan State.
Yeah.
Play on Saturday in East Lansing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that fall weather, late October is going to be a night game. Hey.
Okay. I don't know. As I guess the older that I'm getting.
You want those warmer temperatures year round.
Yep. I'm the guy that's sitting on the porch that's like, I don't have to be on this porch in the winter anymore. And I have the capability and ability to go somewhere else. And I'm finding that it's calling me. So I don't necessarily want to be a snowbird.
No.
When I want to go, I just want to go.
Fair enough.
So I am beginning to kick that ball down the street and figure out how I'm going to make it happen.
A little weekend getaway once a month.
Yeah.
A warmer place.
Once a month. No. How about every day during the month? Every day during the month.
They would call that a snowbird.
Okay, I guess I'm gonna be a snowbird then.
Yeah,
I'm
I mean that would actually be a snowbird on steroids.
That,
That would just be someone who just says, "The
Yeah.
heck with the colder weather. I'm out of here."
Yeah, absolutely.
That's beyond a snowbird.
Yeah, so that's why I'm in that phase in my life. All right, so why don't you go ahead and pop us what's going on in
Let's talk.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How do we get so far all the way ahead of
Getting
ourselves?
ahead of ourselves. There we go. Let's talk. Amber Boone should be in the building in a moment. All right. So, yes, scientists begin building AI for scientific discovery using tech behind ChatGPT. So, what this is right here, Carlos, it's an international scientific team featuring researchers from the University of Cambridge. They've embarked on a novel project called Polymathic AI to harness AI for scientific exploration. It's getting deeper and deeper. Yeah. It's to leverage the foundation model similar to ChatGPT. This initiative will employ AI to learn from numerical and physics-based data across various scientific domains, such as climate studies. While prior AI tools in science were typically designed for specific assignments, Polymathic AI aims to transcend these limitations by developing and understanding from diverse data resources. So its goal is to uncover overlooked connections between different scientific fields and assist in solving a broad of scientific challenges.
Okay.
I mean, AI is being used for science research in a nutshell.
Okay.
That's what appears to be part of the conversation here.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So what do you think?
I think you just read all that to me. I'm just you just read all that to me.
Well, I kind of read for a living.
We are not on Fox 2 News.
Okay, fair enough.
Saying,
Okay,
man.
but no. In a nutshell,
Yeah.
it appears that researchers at the University of Cambridge, they're using AI, the same tech again that created ChatGPT for science research.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think we're on the cusp.
We're on the cusp.
I think
We're on the cusp.
And when I say on the cusp, and I really thought about this as I was reading up on the rundown for the day.
Yeah.
And so you take the smartest person, whether it be at your university, whether it be your Jeopardy champion,
DSDT,
whoever it is, right? And at the end of the day, I believe that humans have a proclivity to forget things. Not everything, right? But a lot of things.
Yeah.
Right? But we're talking about...
Well, out of sight, out of mind.
Well, as the old phrase goes, right? We're talking about an invention that doesn't forget anything. And the more that you give it, the more it's able to parallel or to see likeness in whatever the information is. And I see why they would be doing this. And I'm heavily leaning towards, are we ready to go there?
Go there in what ways?
Are we ready? I see this as being kind of like ultimately and I'm gonna say it this way, and I don't know. As you know what omniscient is?
No.
Omniscient is all-knowing. Come on, you know that. You know that from the early childhood Baptist church days or whatever the church was. Yeah. Omniscient. God is omniscient. God is all-knowing.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
You know?
Yeah.
So if you give these artificial intelligent models all of the information ever known to man, then you go into a realm of omniscient, of all-knowing. And of course they're able to outthink Josh and Carlos, which I think, you know, it may have a little problem on his hand with the two of us together, but I'm just saying. But
there will be a challenge.
Right. If you give it all the information that's ever known to man, then quite naturally it's going to be able to figure out some things that we never even thought about. Right. I kind of see that in my own life. Right. So I have this skill set. I've been using programs, whether it be print shop or some of the first Adobe Illustrator or whatever the case may have been for years. And when I see new tools that I'm able to utilize, I can see how that tool coincides with what I used way back when. Oh, that's just like Sony Vegas, or that's just like Power Director, right? They all do pretty much the same thing.
Typically a similarity.
Different user interfaces, but because I know about them, I'm able to see the parallels in them.
Okay, so even with the evolution of AI, we cannot forget one thing within at least us as people.
What's that?
Prior knowledge. Prior knowledge is always key. You just laid it out, where you find a new piece of software, a new technology, but it's like, oh, it's similar to such and such or such and such. That's prior knowledge. That's experience. That always plays a factor.
Yeah, but that's as a human standard, though, right? We get prior knowledge from education.
Absolutely.
From whether it be through the experience itself, whether it be through someone passing it on to us, or, you shouldn't be doing X, Y, and Z, because if you do X, Y, and Z, that'll happen to you. That's how we actually download that information. But we're talking now about intelligence that from the moment that you input it, it knows it.
True.
Period.
Yeah.
There is no experience in it. It knows it.
Okay, so I'm taking the class prompt AI specialist here at DSDT.
Okay.
And first night of the class this week, and already getting into the vibe.
Okay.
So one of the lectures included the analogy of AI. It can be described as a black box, as I described to you a short time ago, where we can't quite figure out how it's able to do what it's doing. Because again, it's a black box. We really don't know what's inside of it. We just know it's able to produce X, Y, and Z. This is just, look, AI, we say this week after week. AI is here to stay. It's part of the future. We are in the prototype stages.
Right.
But then also part of the lecture yesterday was AI to a degree has kind of been around for a long time.
Absolutely, it has.
Here and there.
It has in some form or fashion, even if you go back to the days of a Plato.
Yes.
Right? You're talking about ancient Greece, and they were already having thoughts of machines having the ability to do X, Y, and Z. So this didn't just come about because you got ChatGPT back in November. This has always been in the forefront of the science community. I put it that way. Not all men have always thought about this, but definitely there have been those that thought, what if we could create the Jetsons actually flying car? Right? What if I had a watch that I could talk to my boss on, and see his face?
Yeah.
That's just where art imitates life. And then you take these smart guys, like a lot really smarter than me, and they're able to bring these thoughts to fruition, or these visions to fruition. So definitively, I believe, though, if we're able to actually build this database, which what I found even more significant about it was that, right now there's issues with some of these modules in the fact that they're unable. Is that the word? No, they're unable.
Yeah.
They're unable to give you a finite conclusion when it comes to numbers. So if you asked it, tell me what 2 + 2 is, it's not going to tell you 4. It may tell you 5. It may tell you 7, but it doesn't have the ability. And that's because they're large language models, and they're not necessarily built for arithmetic. This particular model that they're talking about will have that ability. So that, to me, that takes on a whole nother level of computation.
Okay.
So I would like to see it come to play, but at the same time, we have to have some parameters on it. We have to have those parameters.
With anything in society, again, part of our conversation before we came on here today, with anything in society, this now includes AI, you have rules and regulations and laws.
Right.
That's just part of how the world operates, at least on the surface. We have to follow certain rules. Therefore, we'll continue to talk about it week in and week out and see how it evolves.
Yeah, but here's the thing behind it, and I can't let you skip on beyond this. The question becomes, who's making the rules? Who's making the rules?
Yeah.
Whose ethics are we allowing to dictate what these models do?
Well, we were just talking last week about lawmakers on Capitol Hill.
Yeah.
Speaking on AI and what should happen, what could happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Do we get
Elon Musk part of that conversation?
I'm gonna say it. Do we get Russia the ability to impose ethics and morals? Do we get Hamas? Do we get Hezbollah? Do we get Detroiters? Or who actually has to say so in the ethics that are going to more or less set the parameters for these models? That to me, that actually becomes the ultimate question.
Well, I would say on the surface, the answer would be our lawmakers.
I would say I would say I would give them the old Archie Bunker. You know, they haven't shown me that they always have my best interests at hand at all. And so I would like to be able to control as to whether or not I can have my own say so in whatever the ethics are in the models that I use.
Also, as with AI, always included are politics.
Always. That's with anything, right?
With anything.
That's
exactly.
with anything.
I mean, now AI is added to that list.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, what's going on with our Microsoft?
Okay, so what's going on here? All right, Microsoft pivoting to lead in AI domain, 3 decades with its breakthrough with Windows and Internet Explorer. They are focusing on generative AI with plans to launch AI-enhanced versions of mainstay tools such as Word and Excel. The partnership with OpenAI, creators of the popular ChatGPT chat box, furthering solidifying their position in the AI landscape. Now, despite all of this, Carlos, analysts urge caution, highlighting the need to prove tangible values in AI products. Upcoming events, including their quarterly reports in November, Ignite conference, are anticipated to shed more light on Microsoft's AI endeavors. Again, everybody joining in on AI.
Yeah. I think, though, that Microsoft is doing what AOL should have done back in the day.
Ooh.
You know, they are realizing that,
I like that
there is a 50-pound gorilla in the room. Ooh. And either we are going to find our own gorilla or we're going to become partners with the gorilla. AOL didn't do that.
And it became obsolete.
Absolutely. MySpace didn't do that.
And it became obsolete.
You know, so before a Microsoft becomes obsolete, they're joining forces with the likes of OpenAI, ChatGPT. You know, they're trying to build all these co-pilot services into a lot of their tools. I'm not a huge Microsoft fan. I'll just keep it 1,000. You know, I use it because the school's platform is more or less built upon Microsoft tools or assets.
Microsoft is, at least currently, it remains YouTube in a sense. Like, I mean, it's your standard office work tool.
Yeah, it is. But there's other tools that you can use, you know.
True.
Like I find myself using more Google tools at times. And I'm ambidextrous. I can use them all. Doesn't matter.
You know what? I have become a fan of Docs.
Docs. I can close it in my phone. I can do it anywhere. And you can do the same thing too with Office 360. You can.
Oh, so we're able. Okay, so like our rundown.
Yeah,
for the show.
Like we can do that in Office 360.
And we can like be on the phone texting like, okay, I'm putting this in, you're putting that in.
You could, if it just depends on what your workflow is and which one you prefer.
Okay.
So, you know, which is why competition is good.
Yeah.
It's always good and it will be. All the more reason why I don't want to see regulators dumb down all of this AI hoopla to the point to where there's not fair competition in the marketplace. But we'll see. So
it's called a monopoly.
Yeah,
I want that.
I think Microsoft is doing a heck of a job in trying to make sure that they stay relative. Otherwise, they go out to the graveyard with the AOLs. I'm just saying. Hey, why don't we just go ahead and bring on Amber so we can see. Yeah.
There's one more thing. We'll make it very quick. Amber, we won't keep you waiting too long. Okay, so the last topic. I mean, I really liked this topic because we're heading into the holiday season and just the stuff that is thrown away, lights, TVs, gadgets, whatever, nearly 500 million of small tech items thrown away.
Okay.
I mean, the waste.
Okay.
We're talking about being environmentally more friendly.
Who are we? I want to know who we
society.
are. Who
People.
is society? Who
Come
are
on,
they?
Carlos.
Who are they? I
mean,
want to see them on the show. Now, who you would see on the show is Human IT. Our community partners, Human IT.
Okay.
This is right up their alley.
All right.
You know, they're into e-waste. They've been able to solidify a number of communities across America specifically, especially after coming out of the pandemic with the digital divide in those communities that it was shown that they didn't have equal access. So this is right all day long up their alley. They are able to get their hands on a lot of this tech and refurbish it for the communities that could actually utilize it.
I'm making a note right now to save this topic for a later date.
Why?
Well, you say, we want to bring them on.
Human IT, of course.
Yeah, we bring them on and then we elaborate on this. But I just needed to mention this. Like when I came across it, I said, another way we are wasting.
Okay.
Just note it for now. We'll finish the conversation at a later time when we bring on Human AI.
Human IT.
Human IT, excuse me. Human IT.
Human IT.
Hey, I've been up since 2 o'clock this morning and I took a 1-hour nap before I came here. Get off my back.
So one of the things that I'm working on in my own personal life, is not being so distracted. Right? Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to be so distracted with everything and every topic and every conversation that's happening. I'm trying to stay focused. I remember when my daughter, who's in college out in Chicago now, she had some things going on at home and in her life. And I said, Cariana, from now on, you know what your word is? She said, what, Dad? I said, focus.
Ooh.
Focus. You have to stay focused. Otherwise, you'll get caught up in everything that's happening. I'm not your e-waste guy. I'm not your guy that saves the cardboard boxes and I'm caught up into climate change and I'm an activist. I'm not all those things. I have to stay focused on what it is that I get enjoyment out of, what it is that I hold dear and true to my heart. So again, my word, if I could use one for all of us under the sound of my voice, is focus.
With that being said, one thing I hope never happens.
What's that?
That AI becomes nosy or a gossip. Right. We got enough of that in everyday people.
That part.
Yeah.
That part. Yes. Amber, can you please come on here and shed some light on this show? Amber, how are you today? Who you say you did what? What did you say?
What?
She's fabulous.
Okay, I didn't quite hear you. I don't know if it's maybe my speakers on this side or I don't know. Where are you today? Are you in Michigan or where?
No, I'm Michigan. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, you good. I can hear you great now. All right. So why don't you bring us up to speed with the topics of discussion? Wait a minute. Hold on. Stop.
Mm-hmm.
You're in Michigan. We're in Michigan. Why do we look like we in the North Pole and you look like you in Miami? I'm just and what it is.
Listen, when I went outside today, I had a full down coat with the fur hood and the whole nine.
Because you needed it.
It's a little nippy.
You needed it. Yeah, it is just a little bit. All right, bring us up to speed, if you will, please, ma'am.
Yes, sir. So, a former TikTok employee is building a social app for content creators to network and spill the tea. So it's kind of like the thing here is that creators can remain anonymous, so it gives us an opportunity to disclose how much we're being paid for certain things, how much we're earning, things like that, and talk about what's going on behind the scenes. In order currently to join this app, which is called Canopy, by the way, you have to have between 1,000. You have to have at least 1,000 followers, and it doesn't matter if you have TikTok, YouTube. Go ahead. What?
Pull up on me. Home. Carlos had a little fun this afternoon.
So are
before
you
we came
saying?
on.
Are you saying then I wouldn't be able to monetize?
You wouldn't be able to join unless you have at least 1,000 followers on at least one platform.
It looks like
I have
Canopy
Facebook.
has secured 240K in funding, and they've accepted. They've been accepted into Techstars Seattle as well. So
if I have Facebook, does Facebook count?
So Facebook counts, yes.
Okay.
But I don't know that you could use your friends. It would have to be like a Facebook business page with followers.
Well, don't start nothing. Hold on now. Back up. Back up. I had a TikTok page, and I told you that when Elon came down, they closed all that off. I don't have access to it anymore. They deleted it. I had to start another username. I think I might have 10 followers now on X.
You better get to work.
No,
TikTok.
hey, Amber, you gotta
Literally
call
and
your people.
figuratively.
I need you to call your people at X and have them get my account back online. Can you make
I
that
don't
happen?
have people at X. I don't even understand X.
I feel like everyone has or is slowly checking out of X.
For some people, it's still very much their go-to, but a lot of people have checked out, and we'll get into it a little bit more later.
Yep.
But
Yep. You're taking the thought right out of my mind, so I'm gonna hold off saying what I'm about to say.
Okay.
All right, what's happening with another story with TikTok? TikTok got everything happening this week.
TikTok. Listen, I was like going through stuff. I'm like, what can we talk about? I'm like, TikTok has got a lot of things happening. Like there was so much that I was like, okay, let me just focus. Right? We were saying earlier, let me focus.
You can do it.
So TikTok is now updating their creator TikTok's effect. So if TikTok effects are like the filters that you use, like if I want to, create red lips and eyelashes or whatever, or if I want to create an effect where it looks like I'm on the beach, but I'm really in my living room. So creators go in and they create these effects that you can use and you can earn money from that. So you don't even have to, like a lot of people say, look, I want to make money on social media, but I don't necessarily want to put my face out there. I don't want to create content. You can create effects. And as long as people are using your effects, you can make money off of it. And they're updating their payout model so that it's easier to make money off of them. So they've got a $6 million fund that launched in May that actually rewards the creators for the effects that they make. I signed up for it, but I haven't made an effect yet, but I want to, I want to try it out. So you're eligible. The United States is eligible. Australia, Brazil, Canada. There's like a whole bunch of countries that are eligible to earn money off of creating these TikTok effects. But the main thing now is TikTok is lowering the required number of videos that creators need to qualify for the program. So say, for instance, if you have an effect and only like 10 people used it, you're not going to be eligible to make money off of that.
Okay, I'm trying to figure this out. Hold on now, because I didn't even know they had effects on TikTok.
What do you think you people use? Like green screen is an effect. Different filters are an effect. When people have filters on where it says like light makeup or this or that or whatever, like those are effects. If there's an effect where, again, you can make it look like you're, did you ever see the videos where it's like you're in your car? I don't know. There's like a whole bunch of effects. That's the thing. You can scroll and scroll and scroll, and there's just like tons of different effects you can use.
No.
No,
Let's not be on my TikTok. I got the old TikTok. I'm just
what is that?
Okay, just hold on now. I just got this phone this week. I got the old TikTok,
Okay.
but I got a new iPhone 15 Pro Max. I just want to say to anybody that wants me to use them as an advertiser, I'm just saying.
I got the iPhone 15 because it's pink.
What?
The Pro
Mine's
Max
not pink.
But I'm so excited. It's setting up right now.
How do you like it, Carlos?
Huh?
How do you like it?
How do I like it?
Yeah.
So now we just went straight off of TikTok, right? We were talking about TikTok. Now you got
okay.
No, you didn't want to know about my phone, but I will tell you. So the number one thing that I like about my phone is the transferring of data or the transferring of contacts and all your information. I mean, literally, I put this thing within so many inches of my other device, and it was click a couple buttons, and it just started uploading from one device to this device and I deleted everything from the other device to mail it back off to the company. I thought that was ingenious, and I was in the process as I got this device. I had downloaded iTunes because, like I said, I'm old school, right? I thought that you still had to have iTunes connected with the lightning cable, which it doesn't come with the lightning cable, in order to be able to get the information and the data from one phone to the other. No, that's not even there no more.
So let me make sure I'm understanding this correctly. Let's pretend like this is my old phone and this is my new phone, the 15 Pro. I'm able to just bing, bing.
Look, when I tell you, I'm literally doing it right now. It's happening.
Look at her.
What?
Look at her.
Drop this phone off.
It's why
2 minutes before I hopped on, I opened the door for UPS. I plugged my phone up, and it says I have 12 minutes left. That's how easy it is. I didn't have to do
There's
anything.
no changing SIM cards, none of that.
Like, does it remember like my passwords, my
everything,
facial recognition?
Everything.
Like, I just continue on with my business.
You do have to enter your passcode for your phone into the new phone, and it'll ask you to do the little thing with your face for the face recognition. But outside of that, everything is transferring. Like I said, I'm not joking, 2 minutes before I hopped on, I got my UPS package, plugged it up, and it says I have 12 minutes left. It was that.
Here is probably a more intentional question. Why did you upgrade to the new phone?
I wish I had a good answer, but my answer is because
phone.
That is my only reason, is that it was a pink phone and it has a better camera.
Well, I'll say this. I'm still stuck on the 11, and the reason I haven't upgraded is because I hate transferring my contacts, my apps, all of that to the new phone. Like it's nerve-wracking.
Can I answer this for us, Amber? I don't think an 11 can do it. I'm just saying. I don't think an 11 can do it. 11.
Because I feel like every time they come out with a new phone, the older models start to act up.
That's why I upgraded.
11 okay, Josh?
Yeah.
Well, I've been running out of data, and I'm always having to delete stuff. So
if you don't get rid of that dinosaur, and now be honest, remember I said last week I was at Rick and Kelly. Shout out to Rick and Kelly that came to Detroit, did a phenomenal session up in Birmingham last week. But I was in line with a guy behind me, and he had a 15. And he said, "Is that the 15 Pro Max?" I said, "Yeah, it is." He says, "Oh, I got the 15 Pro." I said, "It's nice." He says, "Man, I just upgraded, and this is like coming out of the Stone Age." I said, "Why?" He said, "Man, you're gonna laugh, but I had a 7." A 7? What? A 7? So there are those individuals out there, Josh, that have you beat.
Woo!
7?
A 7?
A 7, an iPhone 7. I mean, like
coming out of the age.
That's horrible. That's horrible. But again,
that's a darn near a pager status.
Listen, as we were talking earlier, sometimes we get into the phase. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
But a 7?
You don't have to have the bells and whistles as long as you have a phone that can do what you need. I'm just saying, Josh. Amber, okay, what's happening lastly with Instagram?
IG, baby.
So my link is not working. Oh yeah. So Instagram says that Threads is not going to amplify news on the platform, which is what I was going to mention earlier. So, X is famously known for being like a micro news organization. Like you get your news in microdoses, and they amplify that. And it is very much up for all political debates and discussions and all of the things. Threads is not going to try to challenge X with that. Threads is not going to amplify news on the platform. You're not going to get that same experience. So I think anybody who was hoping that they were going to be able to leave X and come over to Threads and have that same, news and political discussion and whatever experience, it's not going to be like that. So,
and I'm glad for that. I mean, I when I read that, I thought that was huge in the sense that, first of all, X, you guys knocked me off the platform. So, for matter of fact, I give you the Archie bunker too. But I think that with Threads, I always want to hear more news from my family, friends, people I follow, as opposed to being inundated with a lot of what's happening on the worldwide, whatever Fox 2 News or CNN or Wall Street Journal. I just want to hear more about what's happening in your life personally, as opposed. And if I have another platform that's akin to a Facebook to get just those snippets, then I value that even more so. Yeah. And
yeah, I mean, I definitely I like the fact that it's not something, I don't know. I tend to steer away from. I don't want to get in those political discussions on Twitter, and people are just so passionate, so riled up, and their opinions are just like so strong. I don't want to do it. That's stressful to me. So to have a place where I can have those discussions and get a little bit of news and whatever is good, but not to be part of like such passionate.
This morning I was surfing through Instagram, and across my feed there was a story about Buzz Aldrich, and how he was saying that we never landed on the moon. It was a hoax. And so I'm sitting there and I'm looking at it. Now I know I would have been told, and I know the stories I've read and the information I've seen, but yet here I am on Instagram and I'm seeing these reports. And as I watch it, I can tell that it's a deep fake. I can tell that the information has been dubbed with, perhaps his voice.
The article stating that man landing on the moon was a hoax is a hoax.
It's a hoax. It's an absolute hoax. But as I'm in that moment, I had to take a moment and stop and check myself, because it's so easy to get caught up with that information in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the platforms, whether it be Instagram, whether it be X, or whatever the case, they need to do more to kind of stop a lot of that, because it's just more misinformation that a lot of people don't have the parameters or, the Carlosness to be able to just say, hold on a minute, let me stop and think about this. Is this real? So much so that I'm to the point now that when I get certain emails, rather than click it, you know what I do? And I don't know if it's a thing you can do. And better yet, we can ask our upcoming guests. But I take those links and I put them in Chat GPT now, right? I put it in Chat GPT and I ask them, is this authentic, or is this an official link, or what is this? Because I don't know if it's a phishing attempt.
Have you, what are some of the responses you've got from Chat GPT?
Oh, by the source of this link, I think that it is what it says that it is, because Chat GPT through Bing is going to go to the link. So if somebody's going to get the virus, OpenAI, I'm sorry.
Sorry. You don't have to put it in Chat GPT. You can just right click and say get info, and it'll tell you where the link is coming from and the back information on it.
Yeah, see, the key word in there that you said was click.
No. You're not clicking on the link. It basically like gives you a preview, and it tells you like where the link is coming from. So it's your computer basically like telling you what it is, whether you can open it or not. That's a trick I used to learn when I worked for a tech company, and they were like, don't click on anything. You always get more information on the link before you click on anything. And so I've just always kind of done that since.
Well, you just taught me something, because I don't know. That's why I was going to ask upcoming guests, because
he would know. And you should, because they probably know more than me. But
she said, you got to check my sources. Amber, I need to talk to you anyways. I will be following up with you because you are the TikTok queen. And we are running a lot of ad campaigns right now on TikTok, and I need some insight from you. Cool. So definitely we'll be following up with you at a later time. I appreciate you and all the wealth and that you bring to the conversations. So if other than Carlos wanted to follow you on anything other than on Twitter, what would your handle be?
Get Real with AB.
Get Real with AB. And I will reach out to you sometime today if you have availability. Okay.
All right. And real quick, see, the phone is done. Josh. Quick.
All set and ready to go.
So I just feel like you might need to upgrade now.
All right.
Come on. Everybody else on the show is upgrading. You might as well.
All right. Fair enough. I have to join the crew.
Amber Boone, everybody. Oh, I like talking to Amber because she knows more, and that's why I need to talk to Amber, because she knows more about TikTok than Josh and Carlos do. Like for
combined,
real. I didn't know that there was elements of TikTok that you could use to.
Well, here's something else I learned in the class last night. Many elements of TikTok are mainly AI generated.
Okay. What? what?
Heavily influenced by AI.
Absolutely. And I've been watching a lot of that, whether it be on Netflix and those suggestions that come across your screen, and it says that, these are the top 10 movies that are being watched. Yeah, right. That's the algorithm choosing for me what it thinks that I want to watch next. I'm just saying. I caught on to it. Trick no good anymore. But coming up next, we are going to have an in-depth conversation with our good friend, Mr. Doug Drouillard. Now, you guys remember, we've had we've had Doug. We've had Doug on here a few times in the past, and Doug is more or less my go-to guy when it comes to software development and these conversations in depth about what's happening in the AI community. So I wanted to have him come on today and to have a discussion as it relates to the code basis surrounding artificial intelligence. All right, so why don't we go ahead and bring Doug on and give him a round of applause.
Hello.
Doug, what's happening?
I'm in the land of the north.
Listen,
You
have got to be the only person that comes on that actually looks like their photo. I'm just saying. You look exactly like. Was this picture taken just the other day?
No, that's like 4 years old now. 5 years old.
So you not aging?
I lost all my hair at 21, so I got all my aging out of the way.
I got it out of the way.
They stopped carding me when I was like 19. So.
Well, hey man, listen, all the same. I want to thank you for taking out time to come on today to get into some of these happenings around AI. I know that you and your company have been doing some phenomenal things in the arena right now. And for those who may not be as aware or remember exactly who you are and what your history is, can you kind of explain to our audience and give them some sense of the person that we're having a conversation with?
Yeah, absolutely. So I run Shrine Development. We're a software development firm based in Michigan, have operations primarily in the United States and Costa Rica. Really been doing custom software now for 7 years. Our big names would be AbbVie Pharmaceuticals. We did some projects with GameStop, StockX, and about a dozen other startups. And really our core focus has been helping enterprises launch, as Carlos would say, become the next Amazon, not the next AOL. So that's really been the focus. And we did startups exclusively for about 4 years. Then we did some Web3 work. We should talk about how that's different than AI. And then lately it's been really focused on AI. I've went from cautiously skeptic to cautiously optimistic, I would say. Because AI, in its sense, has been around for about 20 years. They used to call it big data.
Yeah.
Remember machine learning.
Yeah.
These are all sort of the same evolutions of, or as to say it's pretty much the evolution of the same idea. But now with ChatGPT, seems like things have changed.
So if I remember correctly, you actually have a degree in, is it computer science?
Computer science from University of Michigan.
Y'all heard that right?
Oh, well, I know who you got this Saturday.
Oh,
right.
Absolutely.
So the University of Michigan. And so when did you get your degree?
2006.
2006.
Yeah.
So in 2006, there was conversation around the water keg as it related to AI, artificial intelligence, but there really weren't those tools that we're seeing mainstream right now. So how do you find that? Is this helping your community now, or is it something that you couldn't have fathomed as you were getting this degree back in 2006?
I think that people in the software community knew this was coming. I don't think there was a good estimate on when. I mean, there's been this graph that's called like the singularity, that like computers will be as smart as a person in like year 50, and then by year 55, they're smarter than all humans put together. So these thoughts have been out there. What has changed is you can actually use the AI now in everyday work without a ton of prep, because that's what changed with ChatGPT, is that people can open it up and then they can get results within 15 minutes or 15 seconds. Whereas the machine learning and the big data, those promises required tremendous amounts of work to get any sort of real world results. Mm-hmm. So we knew it was coming, didn't know the timing. When people saw ChatGPT and played with it, it was sort of like, oh, wow, it's finally here.
Where should we draw the line between machine AI autonomy and human intervention?
Well, AI, great question. And what is hard to understand, we don't really have a sense on, like, so AI doesn't actually think, it just is essentially trained on data and then it regurgitates it. Mm-hmm. And that's a gross overall simplification, but what it's doing is it's pretty much looking word by word and picking what word should I say next. There's not like a holistic understanding of the topic it's talking about. And that's why it can hallucinate very, very easily and stay so confident. And so that's what we're trying to figure out. It's like, how much can you trust this thing that isn't really thinking, but sure seems like it's thinking?
It's the analogy of describing AI as a black box, to where we really still can't figure out how it can do what it can do quite yet.
But you can know, because AI will never produce something just out of, it doesn't divine things, right? It's not a human where it will just happen, have a thought. Like, so for instance, if we said Carlos likes turkey sandwiches and we trained it on that and we asked it, what does Carlos like? It's not going to say ham sandwiches. It's going to say turkey sandwiches.
As long as we don't, and Carlos and I, we were talking about this earlier, because rules, regulations, that's becoming more and more part of the conversation. As long as we don't allow AI to become autonomous.
Well, we don't understand why humans are conscious, so I don't know.
Great point, because I was waiting for you to paint yourself up into that corner, right? So when you say that it's not thinking, but yet it's trying to figure out the next word in the phrase to say, is that not a form of what we consider to be thinking? By all standards, I don't know. That's why I'm talking to you, because you're the professional, right?
Yeah. I mean, you can, for sure, you have a valid argument there, which is, are humans just regurgitating what other humans said before? So
all day long.
Then why is it any different?
So, my point.
I think the counter is, if you leave a human being alone for a day and come back, it could change. If you just keep your computer off and you come back in a day, it's going to be the same thing, right? So there's, oh no, you think? What do you think?
Well, if that was the case, then how do you give credit? And so here we going down this hole, right? How do we give credit to those early prompt engineers who say that they trained it on this language, that language, and this language, and before you knew it, it was actually speaking Hindu, and we never trained it on that? You know, so we gave it so many parameters of information that it started to do things that we never told it to do.
The creation conquers more than the creator.
Which is, it gives more credence to the black box scenario. We don't really even know what we're letting out of it. All we know is that we set it into motion.
This is true. But I think they will figure out why it can speak Hindu, and they'll be able to trace back, like, oh, okay, it identified Hindu as a language. Okay, new language conversions went like this, and therefore it took Arabic, translated it to Hindu based on this assumption, and it actually worked. I mean, I think that's what they'll uncover. Or they'll find a bunch of files that actually, oh, we did train on Hindu, we just forgot. But that's my understanding of it. Maybe it can.
Stay tuned.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know what? And this is so like, I can only imagine. I can only imagine the day when you actually have an generative intelligence.
Gentlemen,
right?
Here's a question I like that we can dive into. How will education systems need to evolve to prepare the next generation for a world deeply integrated with AI?
I feel like Carlos probably is better qualified than I am. He runs the school.
Hey, Carlos or Doug, whoever wants to.
Or was that the softball for Carlos?
No, Carlos. I'm gonna stay in my lane.
It really changes. So much of school was intelligence was highly correlated with your ability to remember things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, I can remember this and I can recite it, therefore I can pass a test and I'm intelligent. And that was the, maybe not causation, but the correlation. But now the computers are amazing at remembering things. And so, yeah, how do you teach people to become creative when being creative is doing stuff that's never been done before? This is, I don't know what, yeah, it'll be super interesting. I think it's going to change. The way I see it, I'll answer it in the short term. I think that students essentially get AI companions, and every student, regardless of income or geography, can have access to like a world-class tutor. And I think that's the near term that changes. So it's less about where you were born and more about the AI that you can access. But I don't know, Carlos, what do you think about this one?
I completely agree with you. And the scary thing to me about it is how we all get so inundated with our Siri, Alexa, these various devices, and before long, they're like a part of our everyday life, and we don't realize how much we're actually giving up of our own privacy, right? How much that data is the next big gold rush, and like, so we go out of town from time to time, and I can tell you, whenever I'm in a hotel room, I can always hear my wife say, Alexa, turn on the fan. Because that's the thing that we have at home, and it's as if it's second nature now. And so the first indoctrination of these devices has been, let's do the co-pilot. Microsoft is investing in so much. Let's do the co-pilots, right? Yep. But for how long are we simply going to have co-pilots? Now, I'm the guy, and maybe I don't know about Josh. He's kind of young too, but I'm the guy that I remember the StarTech flip phones. I remember the Nokias. They didn't have the App Store on them, but we got used to having that device. And because of Steve Jobs, all of a sudden we had an amalgamation of it all. Right. And so we just accepted it, not realizing that we're giving up so much of what makes us uniquely us. And I think that this artificial intelligence wave is kind of akin to that as we're moving forward. But even more so, Doug, how do you take all of this and wrap it as it relates to the context of code bases within your industry?
Well, I want to ask you a question. Do you think that smartphones have been a net negative for society? I mean, you speak about like there's a loss.
No.
I don't think that. I don't think that
at all, Doug. What are you talking about?
I don't.
Let's take it easy.
Hold on. No. Let me speak. Listen, I do think to a degree it has been a loss to the everyday Joe Blow man, right? Like when we all got signed up with the Facebooks and the MySpaces and everything, it was all free. Mm-hmm. We didn't realize how much real estate that we were actually giving up of our own personal data.
Okay.
So there was a huge loss, and it is continuing to be a huge loss at the whim of what we consider to be free, right? Yeah. There's a reason why OpenAI gave us first access free. Claude free, Bard free. And then the next thing you know, I'm paying $20 for them. But even though I'm paying $20, I'm still giving so much amount. It has more information about me now than it ever did. Yeah. Microsoft never got that information from me. Even though I didn't necessarily put it into a document, I wasn't going to chat GPT and saying, write an outline for Tech School Podcast, blah, 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 blah. And it instantly had that information. So now when I'm walking down the street and my phone, I'm looking at whatever the case may be, and I'm seeing advertisements because of Tech School Podcast. I mean, it's insane now. And I just don't think that we actually took into consideration how much that we really were going to be giving up with these new smartphone devices. That's the big 300-pound gorilla in the room to me. Am I wrong?
No.
I mean, you only just upgraded to the iPhone 15.
This guy.
I think the one thing we did give up without realizing it was essentially our own mental space. You mentioned focus, right? I think we didn't appreciate how much our focus was going to be under attack. And then you also had asked, I think it's with Amber, like, what is this whole X thing? Like, why does Twitter exist and what does it do? I think what Twitter is doing is when Elon bought it, he really opened up Pandora's box. And what people see now is how narratives are created. In this essence, there's like a life philosophy that people don't have ideas, ideas have people. And what that means is like, really, the ideas are the ones battling, and us mere mortals are sort of instruments of those. And what people don't like about X right now is it's very chaotic, because before it used to be the journalists and the experts, right? They would decide, hey, this is what runs in the New York Times. And, the job of the media was not to report the news. It was to sort of decide what news is worth reporting. But now people are seeing this with X. You're seeing the battle of narratives, and people don't like it because it's messy and it's ugly and it's gross. And that's not what people want. People want, I log on to social media. This is the dopamine I get, right? My side is right. Their side is wrong. They don't like, all this fighting. Get this out of here, right? And so that's why I see a revulsion. But I think what hopefully it allows us to do is maybe take back some of that mental space and sort of appreciate like all this stuff that's being fed to me. Maybe it's not as clear and clean as people say. And you can sort of depend on your own intuition rather than just relying on others. It's sort of taking back, I think, that what we lost from the social media era before.
Oh, so you say that AI is allowing us to take back?
Oh, that was more on X.
Okay.
I think
X.
AI, the big thing that I tell everyone is like, find nature, find universe, find God, because it's going to be so damn confusing. Like you mentioned the deep fakes, and the AI is so confident. If you just we can say anything we want, right? I mean, we can say the Revolutionary War was between U.S. and China. If you train enough documents on it, it'll say that, right? And it's like, oh yeah, U.S. broke away from China. We know it's not true, but the AI doesn't have the sense of like, oh, that's bullshit.
Hey, you know what? I think that's so powerful, Doug, and I can't just let it slip into the nighttime, right? You said find AI, find what, and then find God. Yeah. I think we're in another phase of, as you put it that way, are we creating for ourselves another form of God?
Whoa, hey, woo.
Are we?
If we don't watch out, I think we will.
Okay, what's that?
It's actually, Josh, what you're saying about the black box, right? Mm-hmm. Is like if we assume that AI is always correct and it's a black box, then couldn't people just mess with the data that goes into the system and then produce the results they want? And then say, well, AI said it, you can't challenge it. I mean, isn't that religion and to some degree?
With that being said, here's somewhat of a follow-up question, gentlemen. With AI becoming more of a fundamental part of our process, how will our understanding of originality transform?
That is a deep one, because we thought AI was going to come for the boring jobs first.
Oh,
right. It's like, okay, it'll take over, I don't know, the really tedious auto job where you have to put in 10,000 bolts in a car. That's not what happened, though. It seems like it's coming after the creator jobs first. Graphic design. Have you guys played with what is it, Dolly?
Yes, we played with it this afternoon. Yeah. Oh my goodness, we threw up some images. Carlos walked me through it, made a few tweaks, and it was like, wait a minute, you can take this somewhere, blow it up, frame it, and that's a portrait in your home.
Yeah,
easily. Yeah. Like, wow.
I think the question I've had on originality is, if you have maybe 20 years or 10 years of work experience, I think using AI can be a powerful magnifier because you have the fundamentals. But what about the person who's never done a single manual edit in Photoshop? Now all of a sudden they're a graphics person. They don't actually know the fundamentals. What happens to that person? I don't know. Maybe you guys have thoughts, but
so next week we're going to have on here, Josh and I were talking earlier, a great friend of mine, DJ Helliver. Again, the Helliver out of Ann Arbor, Michigan, not Detroit. So let's get that clear. And I think this is so pertinent because as a DJ from the 80s until, he had a defining moment when he used to carry these huge crates into his gigs. And then the day he realized that the guy who came with the laptop was getting paid exactly the same as he.
Exactly.
And so we're at the phase now. If we're talking about originality, what's originality? Right? Are we giving credit to the guy who sits around for 4 days to regurgitate some information because he's inspired by whatever the case may be? Or are we going to give credit to to Doug for originality because it only took him 15 seconds to do what it took 4 days for this guy to do? What's originality? What is it? So we're at that stage now where a lot of things are changing. The laws have to change. The tools are changing. Everything has to change in order to compensate the day in which everything else was old.
Yeah.
Because those are the old ways of doing it. We don't have to walk around anymore because the wheel has been created. I'm just saying.
It's true. It's generally a net positive it's a net positive for society. And Carlos, you asked about how does it affect Shrine in the code we've written, code we're going to write.
Right.
This is hugely impactful on us in the sense of if the AI can look at what millions of other developers have done, and then right now it sort of is that co-pilot angle. But at what point does the AI actually write better code than the humans? And how does someone become a senior developer if they never can become a junior developer because AI wrote all the code?
Hold on.
Go for it. Okay, go for it. And I have to show you something before we wrap this up. Go ahead, Carlos. I'm sorry.
Okay, cool. Because that's a great point, right? How do I exponentially am able to bypass being a junior, whatever the case may be, to being an expert? I think that we're in a space now where it's not necessarily the skill set of the gentleman who went to school and he got a degree and he knows how to do JavaScript, React, Angular, and all these great languages. And yet I can come along and I simply know how to prompt these language models. I just simply know how to tell it better than the guy who learned to program in order to be able to do the same thing you would be doing if you're a senior developer. So is that problematic within the industry? Because I know you have to be seeing an influx of that.
For sure. Absolutely. And I don't think it's problematic. There is far more demand for software than there are developers. And so just like when websites used to be able to charge back in the .com era, you could charge 30 grand for a website. Now you can charge $30, or people just build it on Wix or Weebly, right?
You're not taking $30 website. I'm saying.
I just meant you can go create one yourself, right? Just go on Weebly or Shopify.
Right.
And it's going to be pretty stellar. But I don't think that, at least I haven't heard software developers bemoan the fact that they can't build simple e-commerce websites for the rest of their lives.
Right.
So I don't see it as being a big negative. And I also think there's an opportunity. Developers here's what I tell software developers, and I won't go too deep into this, but software developers, their careers are sort of like milk in that they will expire very quickly if they're not tended to. And so software developers have typically liked working on the latest and greatest. And so the immediate opportunity I see is there's lots and lots of legacy code sitting out there that needs to be modernized. And I think that'll be, from my perspective, that will be the big first test of AI, is can AI actually understand not just little code snippets it generates, but projects holistically? What used to take a senior architect to understand, can it work at that level? And then help enterprises modernize their code bases, because it's work that humans don't want to do. It's a budget, not even a budget problem, really. It's a human, spiritual energy. You just don't want to go work on a bunch of old code. So
give me an example of what you would call a legacy, a legacy architect.
Sure. So for instance, say someone, a medical system has an app that was written in AngularJS. It is used by thousands of patients every day, but it's written in Angular 1, which Google end-of-lifed in 2013. How do you go about modernizing that so it's supported by like a React framework, so you can actually go innovate on it now? Because finding the talent for Angular 1 is going to be very difficult because people don't want to work on it. Why? Because if you work on an Angular 1 project for a year, now you go to get another job. Like I just said, now you've worked for a year and your career is actually behind by a year. So I think that's the case where if it can, but it has to understand holistically what the project is. If it just understands little snippets, then it's probably not going to be a very successful conversion. But maybe it's as simple as like click a button, modernize, and boom, AI documents the code, translates it to English, then translate that English into React code, and now you have your new app.
So you being an expert, I know you've toyed around with some of these concepts.
I have toyed around, yeah.
And so based on what you've seen, is the tool able to create, I'd say good, it doesn't have to be perfect, but good enough code to be able to pass the test?
Yes. Yeah. I think what I just described there, maybe we're 18 months out from something like that.
So
it's fast.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
I've seen a demo of a software that did an analysis on code, looked at the code, and then said, hey, you have a security issue. And by the way, that security issue seems to be related to credit card data. So this is like a 10 out of 10 severity because credit card data opens your company to financial risks and you need to be PCI compliant. That type of analysis where it's not just like, hey, this code has a bug and it actually can describe the real world impact is not something I've seen until about 3 weeks ago. And that's live. I mean, I saw that in the reel.
So so when you're watching this tool in action like this, are you one who says that, wow, it's coming from my job, or I need to build this skill set so I'm better prepared for the future on the other side of this activity?
Yeah, if you're afraid of change, technology is not the right space for you, right? So someone said this to me, it's like when it's sunny, make hay. So do I think that the current AI jobs of 2024 are going to be available in 10 years? No, but I think there's plenty of work to be done here. So no, I don't really, I don't see it as I see it as an opportunity, not a threat.
My man, I want to be just like you when I grow up. I just want to be just like you. As a matter of fact, you know what they say on Tech School Podcast.
You can do it!
I'm talking about it. Josh, I'm sorry. We've been cornered in the market on this conversation because I just get so into these.
It's all really good, do. Carlos. You know why?
Why? You can do it! My point right there. If you start teaching the AI everything, then automatically what happens when you can't control the AI?
That's why I said watch the Animatrix, Carlos.
I watched it.
With that being said, I want to show you guys this very quickly. Okay, so Carlos, so an hour or so before we came onto the podcast today, you showed me how to use DALL-E on ChatGPT. So I typed in a moment ago as you guys were chatting, please provide an image of a 1970 Dodge Ram because I drive a Ram pickup truck parked in downtown Detroit. It gave me this image.
Wow.
Within a matter of 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay, so I know that Doug and I could actually speak to this, but how does that make you feel as one? You're not a programmer. I don't consider you to be necessarily.
No, I'm not a programmer. I'm not.
You're not a graphic designer.
No, I'm not.
You're not a photographer.
In terms of the tech world, I am learning as I go.
Okay.
And for you to just show me this quick tool literally an hour or two ago, and I'm able to type in one description and bam, there you go. It's like cool at the same time. And then it's like, ooh, a little scary. It's a mixture.
I don't get the apprehension about it necessarily as more so. And I always correlate it to
because again, you can blow this up, have it framed, and that's in your crib.
Now,
That's in your home.
you will have those, and I think Doug might agree with this. You will have those that say the sky is falling, Skynet is coming, right? But at the same time, you will have those like a Doug, like a Carlos, who will say that, hey, wait a minute now, this is my Mark Cuban moment. The Mark Cuban moment was when he was in his friend's dorm in college, and he saw the first time it went online, and he said, wait a minute, I can make money with this. You know, you have to have your Mark Cuban moment when you're looking at what the potentials are within the AI sphere, right? Because these tools are coming every day. There's so many of them. We could sit here for the next 45 hours and talk about them, and I am loving them. I'm loving them. I'm trying to everyone that I could get my hands on, which, like, you know, we talk about the Copilots and GitHub and all these things. I don't care for Copilot. I don't really like Copilot.
What do we have before this?
Before the cell phone? We had pagers.
Bingo.
I was there, Josh.
So was I.
I was there.
I may have been a young teenager, but I was there.
Yeah, I had a pager and I had my own code the whole nine. Doug, so as you're looking at it from the standpoint of a programmer, do you think that this allows the entry level to the field to be exponentially lowered? Or are we still where we have to say, oh, you got to have a degree from 2006 and it has to be a master's and you have to have 15 years of experience in order to qualify for the job?
Great question.
Yeah, I think at this point, fundamentals still matter at this point, because the AI, I was heard a good description of AI from someone who knows it even better than I do. They said AI right now is like a very good intern. It always shows up, it never complains, and it gives you answers when you ask. But like an intern, it makes mistakes. And so I think, Carlos, you and I talked about the case law, or a lawsuit where someone in New York used ChatGPT and didn't bother to check the work. And they ended up citing cases that were fake. It just made stuff up. So I think for now, you still need that fundamentals. Maybe the years of experience decrease, but I think that there's still going to be solid fundamentals needed. At some point, we'll see a switch where instead of Copilot, the humans being the pilot, the AI is the co-pilot, it flips, and the AI is the pilot, and the humans switch more to being gatekeepers, meaning that, like, for a software developer, AI writes a bunch of code for you, it submits it, and then you look it over. And I think that moment, I would say it's within 5 years. That's what my gut tells me. Around 5 years, that will sort of shift. And then maybe at that point, it really is just more about just how, like going back to the websites, you can have someone, your social media person can run your website now, whereas 20 years ago, you had to have a CS degree. So maybe that's when it changes. The coders can become more business focused at that point. But tech has seen, since the COVID and the lockdowns, tech has seen globalization has been incredibly strong, where the premiums and the rates you pay people are really flattening out. It used to be very segmented between the US and everywhere else. And now that's really, they're converging quite heavily.
I love it. I love it. I love when I'm sitting here and I'm talking to a fellow business owner and I hear him say that he has a team out of Costa Rica. First of all, I love Costa Rica. I'm just saying.
Yes, he does.
I love Costa Rica. And you have a team of how many in Costa Rica?
About 20 now.
About 20. Yeah. About 20. See, that's what you can do.
There you go.
The fact that you look from that lens as opposed to simply saying that I am going to stay in Rochester Hills and this is as far as my business is. Business, especially with the help of COVID, because that's when I first realized I didn't have to stay brick and mortar. Right. We can actually hire individuals around the world because that's what the technology allows us to do. And that's what a lot of these conversations, even more so, are allowing us to do. How will Doug and Carlos ever know that they'll be able to hire someone on the other side of the water if nobody's talking about it? And I'm just like the average businessman that's going down to the city chamber of commerce here in the city of Detroit. I'm just like the average businessman that woke up this morning and went to his brick and mortar to do X, Y, and Z. We have to find those opportunities using these tools to be able to reach and expand beyond the waters. I mean, I just wholeheartedly feel like that. And today and right now is our moment. I don't know how sacred that's going to be, as you say, in another 5 years. Do it now if you want to be able to capitalize on it and get as much as you can, because the time will come when you're not going to be able to, period. Yeah. So, Doug, again, as always, I thank you for coming on and giving us a little bit of update as to what you believe is happening. And I also love the fact that we stay on par kind of with some of the same thought process. Have you saw the movie, or have you seen, my wife would say, have you seen the movie, The Creator?
No, I have not seen it.
So The Creator is more in line with Animatrix that you sent me.
Yep.
Whereas the Animatrix is the cartoon version of it. You know, and as I was sitting there earlier today watching it, and I kind of shared this with Josh, for the first time, I allowed my mind to go into the realm. What if Starnet was to happen? Or Skynet. What if Skynet was to happen? You know, and I can see where the fear comes from now.
I think a key word, we cannot allow this tool to become autonomous.
To become autonomous?
Autonomous.
We can't allow the tool to become autonomous. That to me is my fail switch within the whole process of whatever the world is to come. As the creators, we have to be able to maintain a kill switch for it. Yeah. And how do we do that? I don't know. There's the smart people who actually are working and designing all these models, and they're doing it every day. A lot smarter than Carlos. I'm just a mouthpiece that tell you what the people want to hear.
I'll use a fictional character, Tony Stark, Iron Man.
Okay.
In the comic books and the movies, he always has maintained a contingency plan for whatever he created.
Okay.
That's what we have to do with AI as well. There has to be a contingency plan. The creation cannot conquer more than the creator.
So
at the end of the day,
do you think these companies, your Microsofts, your OpenAIs, your Anthropics, all these companies, do you think that they are building these kill switches within their models? Do you think? I'm asking Doug.
I think the kill switches right now are more about removing content that people find unsavory. Either it's not politically correct, or that would be one version. Then also copyright, right? So they trained it on the public net, and they didn't really allow people to opt in. And so you're seeing people like, is it the Game of Thrones guy, Martin? Like, you know, they're starting to file lawsuits. And so I think right now the kill switch is more about, you know, the AI is trained on data. So if you can control the training data, you can control the outputs to some degree. That's where most of the kill switches right now are more about the data that comes in. I don't know. I haven't heard of anyone building in a thing into like open AI where they can just nuke the data plant if they had to, if it got too out of control. But maybe that'll be part of the regulations that are sure to come.
Yeah, it's definitely. I don't know about you guys, but I love the time I'm living in right now. Yeah. I love it from the standpoint of technology. You know, it gives you a reason to get up every day and go into the office or wherever you go. I don't care if it's in your living room and you sit there, you know, in your underoos and, you know, you're keeping abreast of what all that's taking place in this great grand scheme of things. It seems as if, I know for a while, Doug, you were heavy into the Web3 as well. What's your thoughts as to, it seems like it got obliterated when having this AI conversation?
Well, Web3 is there was a few issues with Web3, but the main one was the lack of regulatory clarity, and then the attack by the regulators on that space, along with some fraud that happened in that space, specifically FTX. They have really paused the deployment of it. I still am a huge believer in Web3, because what it could do is the whole idea is democratizing ownership. I mean, if you look at what what do wealthy people have? They have stuff, right? They own stuff. And the idea was democratize that, make it available to more and more people. But the SEC has said, no way, no how. They took the Howey test and applied it to a bunch of things. But pretty much now you can have an investment contract without a contract or an investment, it seems. I mean, pretty soon, if you bought a Star Wars bobblehead and you expected to make money, that might be a security. Who knows? I mean, the regulators really went hard on the space. The other issue that Web3 had was there wasn't that tangible value that could be had just from one person just sitting at a computer, as Carlos does in his underwear, popping away at things, right? You need a lot of people. You needed a network of people for Web3 to work. And ChatGPT, you can just use it and you get value right away. And so I think that's why it's had a better rollout, is the real world applications of AI have streamed in much faster than Web3. But we'll see when the regulators come from OpenAI. I posted this on LinkedIn. Eventually they're going to pull some arcane law from 1913 and say, well, looks like all this AI was actually covered under this, and so now you have to register. I mean, I think what they would do, the incumbents here, putting on my U.S. business person hat, what they would do is they would try to have approved AI and unapproved AI. And approved AI could train on anything, and it was limited from lawsuits, right? It had indemnification. Unapproved AI would be prohibited from people using it without registering it, right? They'd make the process very cumbersome. You'd have to provide a real ID. You'd have to verify your data centers are in the US. Mm-hmm. And then also you would have to vouch that you don't use other AIs to train your AI. You can't use the approved ones to build unapproved ones. And so then what they would do is, I think the biggest threat to Microsoft and OpenAI is actually open source AI. Meta did actually open sourcing more of it. And I think that's a threat to OpenAI because it has really come at a pretty dramatic pace. And I think it's something within a couple of years, technology is going to get more and more affordable. Maybe you're talking about maybe iPhone 25 can actually run its own, the entire thing can just run on the device itself. That'd be pretty cool, right?
Yep. I agree. Listen, man of the hour, brain of the day. We certainly appreciate you taking out of time to come on and having a conversation with us yet again. I love also to bring you back at some point when you have time in your busy schedule so that we can carry on this conversation, because I know that things are only going to get, I want to say better, but more strange, more strange as they move forward. And we need to keep having these conversations for our community members who don't necessarily understand what's happening or where they need to be in the grand scheme of it. So it helps that I'm just a mouthpiece. I don't have the 2006, computer science degree from the University of Michigan, which is why I hang out with some brilliant friends. And we can have these discussions to break it down to those, or for those who actually need to understand that there's a shift happening within the tech world.
It's all about perspective.
Absolutely. And that shift is going to allow more of us to come into the room to have some of this discussion about how do we utilize it to do X, Y, and Z in the world to be. How do we utilize it? And so I'm a business owner. You are a business owner. And we are trying to figure out how do we maintain this livelihood in the grand scheme of all these tools that have now become available for us. So again, thank you, Doug, for coming on today. I appreciate you. And I look forward to having another conversation on the other side. All right.
Absolutely, Carlos. Sounds great.
Shrine Development, Mr. Shrine Development, everybody. Mr. Shrine Development. Cool.
All right, man.
All right.
Powerful.
Absolutely. Every time we have a conversation with him, you already know what it's going to be.
Game time. Show up and show out.
I know that this is probably the longest episode we done had in a long time.
Hey, when the conversation is flowing, let it roll.
A long time. So you can't do that on Fox 2 News. I'm just saying.
Yeah, we get away with it from time to time, and then we have something that we wear on our ear called an IFB, where the producer says, Rap.
There
Rap.
it is. Shut
Move it
up.
along.
Shut
Rap.
up.
Go to break.
Well, I'm glad I don't have nobody in my ear right now. So with that being said, we want to go on and air our YDSD coming from Mr. I hope I don't mess his name up. Naher Almaraci. I think I said that right. We want to go ahead and allow him to give us his YDSDT.
All right.
Hi, my name is Naher Almaraci, and this is my why DSDT. Well, I discovered DSDT when I was doing my GED test, and I had to come over here for testing, and I took a tour around the school. And I got into digital marketing technology because of broadcasting. I want to commentate Lions game in the future. So I started learning how to do the audio. It's actually pretty cool. I didn't know some of the noises in movies actually came from regular things. Like this guy did the laser gun noises in Star Wars. He just went up to a tower and started hitting a wrench against a piece of metal. But that was pretty cool. The AIs, I learned how to use that. I've been writing stories since then. Well, hopefully after I'm done with DSDT, I can start commentating minor league games and build my way up. And this is my why DSDT.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And so I'm inspired just by watching him from a number of aspects. And the number one aspect is what I would say to the person that sits in our community and says that I want to learn this to be able to do X, Y, and Z. We are in a day and age now where you don't have to wait. Right? If you want to start commentating for minor leagues, or you want to start, airing about your thoughts in whether it be the Lions or whatever the case may be, you can start now. You have access to as many individuals within the world as Fox 2 News does, as CNN does, or NBC, or any of those. We do this podcast every week. And I can tell you, when I go back, I was looking today, and I see that we've had over the lifetime over 272,000 views. 272,000. Now we got a lot of episodes.
True.
And when I see those type of numbers, it's like you don't know who came into contact with your content.
Wow.
So if you are the individual who's been watching the Tech School podcast, and you've been watching Josh on Fox 2 News every morning, and you're saying that hopefully one day I want to be able to do that, I tell you right now, you can do it. You can do it starting tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And well, I say tomorrow, but you can do it starting today.
You can do it.
You can do it. All you got to do, I just got this new iPhone 15 Pro Max, and it has the best cameras on it to date. Right. And it will allow me to be able to film that content, upload that content to so many social platforms. And we talk about them every week when we have Amber come on, which is why we try to educate our community even more so, because we all have dreams and admirations of doing something great in this life.
Amen. Preach.
And so you definitely want to be utilizing the tools that you have access to right now, as opposed to waiting on the other side of it. And that's just my 5 cents for the day. I thank you guys. All right, Josh. Well, you know what time it is. It's time for us to wrap it up. And don't forget, speaking of rap, next week, we're going to have DJ Helliver come on. I've been wanting to do a show all season for the 50th year of hip hop.
Okay.
And so, I mean, hands down, this brother knows more about hip hop than I think anybody I know.
He knows.
Period. Absolutely. So you
From
guys
the Blind
see,
Pig in Ann Arbor.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So you guys see how we have these guests, like we just have Doug on, right? Doug has been a computer programmer. He has the skills. He has the degrees to pay the bills. So the brother knows what he's talking about. We don't bring nobody on here that don't know what they don't know what they're talking about.
No. That's why we are here, because we are bridging the digital divide.
Absolutely.
Bridging the gap.
Absolutely.
All right.
About the only somebody on here that don't know always what he's talking about is Mr. You Can Do It.
And I'm learning as I go.
No, me. I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about me.
Yeah.
I'm talking about me. I'm just in the room of greatness. And I love the conversations that we're having in order that we educate our community.
Well,
so
one more note. You are the company that you keep.
Oh, listen to him. That was so nice. I appreciate you. Thank you, Josh.
You're welcome, Carlos. All right, man. Again, a great episode, powerful, knowledgeable. Hey, much more to come next week with a DJ Helliver. In the meantime, that will do it for the Tech School podcast, powered by DSDT. See ya.